Welcome to Hot Zone Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. Good evening. Tonight, the world's eyes are on Southeast Asia. A historic agreement has just been signed in Manila, the U.S. Philippines Energy Security and Exploration Pact. This deal promises joint exploration for oil and natural gas within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, including contested areas of the South China Sea. The signing was marked by optimism, with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and the U.S. Secretary of State vowing a new era of partnership and energy security. For the Philippines, long burdened by high energy costs, the promise of tapping its own resources is transformative. Billions in American investment and technology are set to unlock vast reserves beneath the seabed. But this is more than economics. It's a bold political move. The pact directly challenges China's sweeping claims over the South China Sea, where Chinese vessels have long harassed Filipino ships. With this agreement, Manila and Washington are drawing a line, signaling they won't be deterred from their rights under international law. China's response was immediate and fierce, condemning the pact as a provocation and warning of serious consequences. The stage is set for a dangerous confrontation. What was meant to bring energy to millions has ignited a geopolitical firestorm. The South China Sea is now the epicenter of a high-stakes standoff between two superpowers and a determined ally. The world is holding its breath. The calm in Manila belies the tension rippling across the region. This pact could reshape the balance of power in the Pacific. The question now, how far will each side go to defend its interests? The answer may define the future of the region. The South China Sea is far more than a regional dispute. It's a global artery. 1/3 of all global shipping, over $5 trillion in trade, passes through these waters each year. Oil from the Middle East, goods from Asia, any disruption here would send shockwaves through the world economy. Supply chains would snap, prices would soar, and energy flows could be choked off, risking a global recession. That's why nations worldwide, not just in Asia, are watching anxiously. Beyond trade, the sea holds immense natural wealth, up to 11 billion barrels of oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. For the Philippines, these resources offer a path to energy independence and economic growth. But overlapping claims have turned the sea into a battleground. China's 9-dash line covers nearly 90% of the area, clashing with the rights of the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. The new U.S. Philippines pact brings these simmering disputes to a boil, turning a regional quarrel into a global flashpoint. The stakes are enormous: energy, security, and the stability of the world's most vital trade route. The world's prosperity depends on these waters staying open and safe. The South China Sea is a lifeline, and now, a potential fault line. The consequences of conflict here would be felt everywhere. To understand this crisis, we must see the South China Sea through three lenses. For the Philippines, it's about survival and sovereignty, backed by a 2016 international ruling that invalidated China's claims and affirmed Manila's rights. The new pact is Manila's stand for energy security and against bullying. For China, the sea is blue national soil, a matter of history and security. Control means a buffer for its coast and secure shipping lanes. Beijing sees the pact as U.S. interference and a threat to its rise. For the United States, it's about upholding international law and supporting an ally under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. The U.S. insists on freedom of navigation and a rules-based order. Each nation acts from deeply held beliefs and strategic imperatives. The Philippines seeks its sovereign rights. China defends its historical claims and national destiny. The U.S. tests the international order. There's little common ground, only clashing worldviews. This isn't just about rocks and reefs, it's a collision of ambitions. The risk of misunderstanding and miscalculation is immense. The South China Sea is now a stage for global drama. The stakes, sovereignty, power, and the rules that govern the world. The outcome is far from certain. The Manila Energy Pact is a direct challenge to China's strategy in the South China Sea. For years, Beijing has used gray zone tactics, harassment and intimidation without open conflict, to assert control. Now, with U.S. companies and political backing, the Philippines has changed the game. Any interference by China could be seen as aggression against U.S. interests. This forces Beijing to choose back down and risk losing face, or escalate and risk confrontation. The pact has revitalized the U.S.-Philippines alliance and inspired other Southeast Asian nations. But it's also cornered China, hardening its resolve. Nationalist rhetoric is rising, and Beijing vows to defend its claims. What was meant to secure Philippine rights has instead raised tensions to new heights. The region is now a powder keg, one spark away from crisis. In the wake of the pact, the South China Sea has become a military chessboard. China's navy has surged patrols, deploying warships and an aircraft carrier near the exploration sites, a show of force. The U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet has responded, sending destroyers and an aircraft carrier to conduct freedom of navigation operations. Fighter jets from both sides now patrol the skies with dangerous intercepts reported. The risk of a mid-air collision or naval incident is real. China's militarized artificial islands now bristle with missiles and radar, projecting power across the sea. The U.S. is strengthening its presence in the Philippines, gaining access to more bases and pre-positioning forces. The region is more militarized than ever. Every maneuver is a message, neither side will back down. The tension is palpable, the margin for error razor thin. One mistake could trigger a crisis. The world watches as warships and warplanes circle, waiting for the next move. The South China Sea is now a flashpoint, armed, alert, and unpredictable. The stakes, peace or war, in the Pacific. The outcome hangs in the balance. With so many warships and aircraft in close quarters, the risk of miscalculation is dangerously high. A single error, a collision, a misread signal, could trigger a rapid escalation. A conflict here would halt trillions in trade, cripple economies, and send shockwaves through global markets. The human cost would be immense, especially for the Philippines, caught in the crossfire. The US and China risk a direct clash between nuclear powers. Diplomats are scrambling to set red lines and prevent disaster, but the core dispute remains unresolved. Until one side backs down, the threat of catastrophe looms. The world holds its breath, hoping for restraint. The world is watching and choosing sides. US allies like Japan and Australia have voiced strong support, increasing naval patrols and joint exercises. European powers, including the UK and France, have sent warships to assert freedom of navigation. China, meanwhile, has rallied support from Russia and leveraged its economic influence in Southeast Asia. ASEAN is divided, with some nations wary of criticizing Beijing. The crisis has polarized the world, aligning nations by their interests and values. The South China Sea is no longer just a regional issue. It's a global test of power and principle. The outcome will shape alliances and the world order. For ordinary Filipinos, the crisis is personal. Fishermen hope the pact means safe access to their traditional waters, free from harassment. In cities, people dream of lower energy bills and new jobs from domestic oil and gas. There's pride in standing up to China, but also deep anxiety. Many fear their country could become a battleground between superpowers. Memories of past wars haunt the older generation. Parents worry for their children's future. The debate rages. Is this a path to prosperity or a reckless gamble? The nation is caught between hope and fear. The fate of 110 million Filipinos hangs in the balance. Their future depends on what happens next in the South China Sea. This crisis is more than a territorial dispute, it's a test of the global order. Will international law prevail, or will might make right? The U.S. Philippines Pact is a stand for the rules-based system. If China blocks the exploration, it sets a precedent that power trumps law. For the Philippines, it's a test of resolve. For the U.S., a test of credibility. For China, a test of its vision as a superpower. The choices made now will echo for generations. The world hopes for diplomacy but fears a single misstep could spark disaster. The future of peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific and the world may be decided here. The South China Sea is calm on the surface, but beneath, the struggle for the 21st century rages. The world is watching,